Obi-Wan, have you done as I asked? Have you trained the boy?
Welcome back, everyone. This will be my Obi-Wan Kenobi Qui-Gon Jinn video. A lot of you asking if Liam Neeson is going to have a cameo scene in the series. There have been a couple scenes directly referencing him so far during the episodes, so we'll break it all down. If you're brand new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to get all the videos. We're doing a giveaway for Disney Plus memberships. All you have to do to enter is be a subscriber and post all your Qui-Gon Jinn cameo scene theories on the video.
If ever I needed guidance, Master, it's now. Master Qui-Gon. Master.
There is always hope, my friend, though it often comes in forms not looked for. The key is knowing how to see it and seizing that opportunity. I have been tasked with guiding you forward.
But during the events of Episode 1 and Episode 2, there are two different big Qui-Gon Jinn references, and you remember previously in the timeline, during Revenge of the Sith, Yoda specifically told Obi-Wan Kenobi when they were last together on Bail Organa's ship dividing the twins up to hide them, that while he was busy watching over a young Luke Skywalker, which we've seen so far, he had a mission for him. New Jedi training, and Yoda was going to teach Obi-Wan in their remaining time together on that ship how to commune with Qui-Gon Jinn's Force Spirit, and that Qui-Gon specifically had learned the secrets of life after death.
An old friend has learned the path to immortality.
Qui-Gon?
How to commune with him, I will teach you.
What he meant, obviously, without saying it exactly, was Qui-Gon had learned the secrets of how to become a Force ghost from the priestesses of the Whills before his death, and they wanted to obviously preserve the canon because during A New Hope movie, you see Obi-Wan Kenobi turning into a Force spirit, returning during Empire Strikes Back for the first time as an actual Force spirit. Luke was all surprised, like, wait a minute, what are you doing here? What had happened, though, is earlier in the timeline, when Qui-Gon Jinn was younger, before his death, he found the priestesses of the Whills in the Wellspring of Life, this special planet in the galaxy shrouded in mystery that was supposed to be hidden from star maps, kind of the same way it was almost impossible for anyone to find and reach Mortis or the world between worlds, just different special places in the Force around the galaxy that was really hard to find. And Yoda wanted Obi-Wan to learn how to become a Force ghost from Qui-Gon Jinn's Force spirit, like Qui-Gon specifically would teach him how to become a Force ghost in the time between the Obi-Wan series where we're seeing right now and then A New Hope movie. But first, Yoda had to teach Obi-Wan how to speak with Qui-Gon's Force spirit specifically. The reason why Yoda was doing this is because previously Qui-Gon had helped Yoda find the Shaman of the Will so that Yoda himself could fully learn how to become a Force ghost, and Yoda was able to complete the training before he died in a way that Qui-Gon Jinn was not able to do. They covered all that during the Clone Wars.
It is I, Qui-Gon Jinn.
That cannot be. Dead you are.
No. I am part of the living Force, Yoda.
The reason why Qui-Gon wasn't able to become a full Force ghost like you see Yoda, Obi-Wan, Anakin Skywalker, Luke Skywalker, even Leia later in the timeline is because he was killed by Darth Maul during the events of Phantom Menace before he could complete his training with the Shaman of the Whills. During Episode 1 and Episode 2, Obi-Wan Kenobi specifically calls out for Qui-Gon Jinn's help, asking for guidance. He's meant to be at his lowest point here, emotionally, spiritually within the Force when the series picks up, like he has no hope for the future. The series is all about how he finds that again in young Luke Skywalker, young Leia, in what remains of the spark inside Anakin Skywalker within Darth Vader. Thus the title of the next movie, A New Hope. So on a certain level, they want to preserve the canon, so he has to learn to become a Force ghost, and Qui-Gon Jinn is the person that does that for him. A lot of you also asking if Obi-Wan Kenobi was able to meet with the Force ghost of Qui-Gon Jinn before, and he talked about being a Force spirit, consciousness after death, how come he's not thinking about it later in the timeline here during the Obi-Wan series or when Yoda is talking to him in Revenge of the Sith? Like he treats it as if it's a brand new idea, like wait a minute, Qui-Gon? Still alive? I can learn more things from him? Force ghost? What are you talking about? Way earlier in the timeline, they travel to Mortis, which is this special area inside the Force where they're like literally communing with avatars of the living Force themselves. It's meant to be this huge nexus of the Force, this very ethereal place where different aspects of the Force are at war with each other, like the light side, the dark side, the balance between them. So you have the father, the daughter, and the son. And it's all about them exploring the idea that Anakin Skywalker is this child of prophecy, this child literally of the Force. What kind of balance is he going to bring? Is he going to destroy the galaxy? Is he going to help lead it to this new age? Which side of the Force needs the most balancing, so to speak? And while this is happening, while Anakin Skywalker and the others are going through this big trial, Inside this special Force Nexus, the spirit of Qui-Gon Jinn is able to speak literally to Obi-Wan Kenobi and commune with him in a physical way that a lot of other traditional Force spirits are in the normal world.
Qui-Gon, how are you here?
I am here because you are here.
He mostly spends the time talking to Obi-Wan about the prophecy itself, mostly talking about Anakin Skywalker. But it's like your first big clue about having life after death, about becoming an actual Force spirit, because it's happening before Yoda learns to become a Force ghost. The reason why Obi-Wan Kenobi seems like he forgets about it later in the timeline during Revenge of the Sith is because everything that happens within this Force Nexus of Mortis is meant to be like this very special one-off thing. Like all these crazy things are only able to happen because they're inside this special place. So Obi-Wan doesn't necessarily think that they're able to exist outside in the real world, which is what Yoda is telling him. No, he's actually able to manifest here in the real world, but I have to teach you how to commune with Qui-Gon's spirit. So there are a lot of specific rules about who is able to become a Force ghost, how it works, what exactly they can do when they become Force ghosts. The first big thing is that only light side Jedi can actually become traditional Force ghosts. Sith can't do it the same way that you see Yoda or the other characters become Force ghosts. Now there is the classic tale of Darth Plagueis the Wise.
Did you ever hear the tragedy of Darth Plagueis the Wise?
Darth Sidious's former master, Darth Plagueis, learned the Sith version of eternal life, which is a little bit different, but kind of related. They use different methods to achieve something close to the same result, but it's not exactly the same thing. What the Emperor was talking about during Revenge of the Sith was using his clones to transfer your Force essence to essentially retain eternal life, but he was also talking about influencing the midichlorians themselves so that you could retain your consciousness as a Force spirit. Like Anakin was trying to find a way to get the midichlorians to just freeze Padme so that she wouldn't die. And even though the Emperor's manipulating him in this scene, he's trying to tell him what he wants to hear. Technically, the Sith version of life after death isn't exactly what Anakin thinks that it is in this moment. But again, both for Jedi and for Sith, it's about retaining your consciousness after you shed your physical form. Force ghosts are essentially just the former consciousness of a Jedi, though, without physical form existing on a different plane. If a Sith tries something like this to retain their life or consciousness after death, they either have to bind their consciousness to an object like a Sith holocron, which you've seen in the canon before, or they have to straight up possess another body with their essence, like a clone body the way that the Emperor did. What happens when a Jedi becomes a Force ghost is that after their physical body is destroyed or they're killed, their consciousness travels to the netherworld of the Force, kind of like the Star Wars version of the afterlife, where most people's consciousness just becomes one with the Force again. Like everything you are just combines with everything else. But with proper training and ability, people like Yoda, Obi-Wan, Qui-Gon are able to retain their minds, their sense of self, and they're able to use the living Force, like the midichlorians flowing through the cosmic Force, to travel around the galaxy wherever they want, speak to whoever they want, do whatever they want. The living Force is like the midichlorians, the biological essence of the Force that permeate all living things at the microscopic level. The cosmic Force is like the connective tissue that connects all of them across the galaxy and represents the sort of will of the Force. It's like the conduit that the Force ghosts use to travel around the galaxy. When you become a full Force ghost, you have a limited ability to interact with the world, but you can use the Force and physically interact with things. Like Yoda's able to call down a lightning strike with the Force, and Luke Skywalker is able to physically grasp Anakin Skywalker's lightsaber hilt. But it takes a tremendous amount of power and will for them to do stuff like that, and they can't maintain it indefinitely. Like holding a semi-physical form like that isn't something that they could do forever. When you become a full Force ghost, you can appear to anyone you want, you can be seen by anyone you want to see or hear you. You don't need special training to talk to actual Force ghosts. Like later in the timeline after Yoda's death, he could actually show up to an older version of Grogu as a Force ghost anytime he wanted and commune with him. The only reason in this scene here that Yoda is talking about teaching Obi-Wan how to commune with Qui-Gon Jinn's Force spirit is because Qui-Gon himself wasn't able to fully become a Force ghost. His training was incomplete. He could only exist as this disembodied voice.
Show yourself, can you?
I cannot. My training was incomplete. All energy from the living Force, from all things that have ever lived, feeds into the cosmic Force.
Under normal circumstances, like walking around the real world, you'd only be able to hear his voice speaking to you. Like when Anakin Skywalker was killing all the Tusken Raiders back during Attack of the Clones, you hear Qui-Gon's voice calling out to him through the Force, trying to tell him to stop. That was similar to what it would be like for Obi-Wan when he's learning from Qui-Gon to become a Force ghost. A lot of you now asking, how was Anakin Skywalker able to become a Force ghost if he had been Sith right up until his death, and we never actually saw him training with anyone to become a Force ghost, and it was a very special technique that only very powerful Jedi with a lot of training could actually achieve. The way they actually explain this, at least canonically, unless they change it or retcon it later on, is because Darth Vader, Anakin Skywalker, turned back to the light side just before his death, acted selflessly after he died. When his essence traveled to the netherworld of the Force, Yoda and the others were able to teach him to finish becoming a Force ghost, retain his essence, before he'd kind of been completely reabsorbed into the Force, so to speak. Also because Anakin had specifically been a child of the midichlorians themselves, like he'd literally been conceived by the Force. He had a much greater connection to the Force, and it was much easier for him to retain his consciousness after death and use the living Force, the cosmic Force, to be a Force ghost. Now a lot of you are also asking if it was so easy for him to pull this off, where it was really hard for other Jedi, why haven't we seen way more Anakin Skywalker Force Ghost cameo scenes in the past? Hayden Christensen did talk about coming back during the Ahsoka series, and I think that that's where we would see Force Ghost Anakin, because every time Ahsoka has talked about the Jedi Order, Order 66, with Grogu, the other Mandalorian characters, she's usually referenced Anakin Skywalker in some way. She was his Padawan, she had a much closer relationship with him than with Obi-Wan Kenobi or Yoda. So right now, in terms of Qui-Gon Jinn cameo scenes, my early theory is that they'll wait till the Obi-Wan Kenobi finale, like Episode 6, and they'll probably just show him coming back to Tatooine to continue watching over Luke Skywalker, building his hut eventually. Like, okay, I'll stop living in a cave, I'll actually build a real hut here. And once he regains some of his inner peace, like he sort of rebalances himself in the Force, that's when he'll actually start communing with Qui-Gon's Force spirit, and we'll get our actual Liam Neeson cameo scene. But everyone post all your theories about Liam Neeson cameo scenes during actual Obi-Wan Kenobi episodes. My full Obi-Wan Kenobi Episode 3 video will post next after they release it. While you wait for that, click here for my brand new Mandalorian Season 3 trailer video breakdown and Ahsoka trailer breakdown, and click here for my Obi-Wan Kenobi episode videos. I'll update the link for Episode 3 as soon as I post that. Thank you so much for watching, everyone stay safe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.